have something to tell y'all. I'm going to save it to the end of the episode, okay? So make sure you stay to the end. Even though our episode today wasn't like really busy, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't a whole lot of action, a whole lot of, and when I say action, I don't mean physical, but I mean there wasn't a whole lot of exciting things going on. I thoroughly enjoyed today's episode because the actors who I really enjoy the most on Beyond the Gates, they were predominantly on our screens today. Colby Nixon, who plays our cat. Amber Michelle, who plays our Eva. Miss Mantil, the young lady who plays Chelsea. I think her name is Ronnie Rose. Yeah, her first name is Ronnie Rose. Carla Mosley, our Danny, right? Bill Hamilton, Timon, Jacob, Jibri Hart. It's just so many good actors that I love seeing them all together. And I like seeing the young folks, you know what I mean? So let's talk about what happened on our show. Well, they pick us up with Danny, Kat, Chelsea, and Naomi. They're at Naomi and Jacob's house, right? Their apartment or wherever they live. They're in D.C. And they are still strategizing how they think that Haley is having an affair with Sammy, aka our Randy, okay? And so they're just plotting and planning on how can they get enough evidence to present to Bill to get him to kick the wicked stepmother to the curb, right? And Danny, of course, is all in. Y'all, Kat is, y'all know she is Miss Nancy Drew, and she's like, oh, we need to get hardcore footage. Like, we need to get secret cameras to catch Haley, out somewhere with Randy. But here's my thing. Writers, BTG writers, this is what I'm saying. By the way, y'all do know they've been changing the writers' room, right? Some of the writers from our show, they've gone over to Young and the Restless. We'll talk about that on a different episode because I like to just try to focus on one thing on one episode. But anywho, y'all, so I'm like, wait a minute. See, this is the thing. Had they actually done what they wrote, which was have Keegan follow old girl around, they would have been done seen, okay? Haley with Randy a number of times, okay? And so anyway, so they decide on the fact that Naomi is going to go over to Bill's office and she's going to get into his laptop because, she has the password and everything since she was over there working when he was hospitalized. And she is going to try to see if she can find a copy, y'all, of he and Haley's prenuptial agreement. She's going to review it, and if there is a clause in there that basically cuts her off if she cheats on him, right, then they're going to be like, game on, right? The thing about it is, one of the things that Danny said that I totally agree with, that Bill was so head over heels for Haley, he probably didn't even put it in there. And even if he did, Haley signed it because Haley just wanted money. Now, they don't know what we know, that the whole reason she even targeted them is to get Bill's money. So if it's in there, she signed it, and who knows, Haley probably didn't even read the prenuptial agreement. And all of us know, right, y'all, that she never initially planned to kill him. Like Randy told her when she first suggested they kill Bill. He said, we ain't never did that before. Now, we done a whole lot of stuff, but we ain't never killed nobody, right? But Haley's like, this right here needs to be a one and done, right? Because she said, this is my last time tricking, right? I don't want to trick no more. Okay, so Naomi heads over to Bill's office. So let's continue there. She gets over there, and of course, y'all know Caroline is in there straightening papers, and they need to give Caroline something to do, right? Okay, so she's in there straightening papers. Long story short, Naomi sits down and she puts in Bill Hamilton prenuptial agreement, and of course we can see a screen where it is highlighted in all the files. And just as she's about to click on it, y'all, guess who walks in? Tomas. He is back from Puerto Rico, and he's like, what are you doing sitting at Bill's office? Y'all, you know what I'm telling Tomas is getting on my last nerve. Like, Tomas needs to, listen, didn't Tomas say he was going to get him another job anyway? And we know Bill tore up his resignation, talked him out of it, all that good stuff. But still, it's like, if it wasn't Pauline you were threatened by, now it's Naomi, okay, and then it was Haley. The bottom line is Tomas needs to get a good fitting at Bill's law firm and back the heck up, okay? So Naomi has to tell him, listen, back down, bro, okay? I don't know what it is, but I am just here working on Madison's case. Well, couldn't you have done that basically at your office? She's like, no, it was easier to do it here, right? Basically, she tells him, Tomas, listen, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I am not trying to work for my dad, so just chill, right? And so she gets up and she leaves. Well, Tomas calls Kat. Kat was over, of course, with Danny and Chelsea at Naomi's house. And so she's like, hey, boo, basically, what's up, man? And he's like, I'm back. And so he asked her to come over to Bill's office because he has some things he must do. And why don't you come and watch me work? So Kat comes over. She runs into Caroline in the hall. And then she texts Chelsea, Caroline is going to Uptown to get something to drink. Basically, meet her there so you can question her and find out what's the dealio on Haley. I think a lot of people in the viewing audience, not us here, because we all have been watching the show since day one, I think a lot of the viewership forget that initially Haley and Naomi were best friends, but when that all broke up, Haley and Caroline, right, y'all, became best friends. I mean, Caroline was even her maid of honor. Of course, she didn't have nobody else. So it's not like, but, they were pretty tight, She used to work at Bill's law firm. I think Haley still does come into work every now and again, like Tomas told her. But anyway, and so she texts her. So she goes in, hey, they're so happy to see each other, and they're hugging and whatnot. I have to say, I know that Colby Nixon is now married, even though she and her man have been together for many years. I'm not sure of the relationship status of Alex, who plays our Tomas, but I'm like, shouldn't y'all have been like kissing each other down? Okay, the boy's been gone for a week or two, or at least a good solid week. So anyway, what I'm saying is they were affectionate, but not enough. They need to make it look really real, okay? So anyway, and so y'all, they get to talking, and he tells her, I'm worried about your cousin. She was sitting up here when I walked, and she's like, listen, it's not what you think. And so Kat lets the cat out of the bag, and she tells him, we think basically Haley's cheating on Bill, and Naomi was up in here trying to find proof of it. And he's like, what? And she says, why don't you help us? And y'all, Tomas was, honey, not me. Not me, amigo. He says, because you know what? I got too much at stake, and I don't already, if something goes down, Bill will forgive you. He'll forgive Naomi. He'll forgive Chelsea. He loves y'all. But I will be the one he blames. So he said it's best for me and my career that I stay on the outs. And Kat agrees with that. And y'all, I do too. I agree with that. Let's talk about Bill and Haley. Y'all, how come, y'all know Bill fell out, right? Bill, again, okay? Y'all, Bill is sitting down at the Uptowns. Wait a minute, by the way, for all of my upscale restaurant visitors, didn't he mention the restaurant Nobu, N-O-B-U today? I was like, wait a minute, let me rewind this back. I thought he said that. So I'm like, okay, so the country club we know has a restaurant. But, excuse me, not a restaurant. I know we have a chef at the country club because we met her before. I thought all the food was made there. But today, or maybe he was just making a comparison saying that the mocktail was just as good as no booze mocktail. Anyway, I was like, what? No move? Come on now. Anyway, so y'all, Bill's trying to hold a drink and his hand is shaking like a leaf, y'all. You know what? I'm so sick of this storyline. I don't even know what to tell y'all. But anywho, girl. So Haley comes from the restroom and he was like, I was about to send a search party for you. What took you so long? So she begins to say to him, apologizing to your daughters wasn't easy. And I did it for you. Now you got to do something for me. And he's like, what? And she's like, book a ticket tonight to same bars. Y'all, Bill like, we ain't going nowhere, girl. Y'all. Haley, do y'all think Haley is trying to get Bill to St. Bar so she can finish the job? If that were the way the story was going, I would say book a ticket so that this storyline can be over. But Bill tells her, I got something to tell you. It's not that I don't want to go because I'm trying to withhold your pleasure. It's just that I'm afraid I'm going to have a health issue on the plane or there. And she's like, what's going on? He was like, there's some things that I haven't told you. I fell out, he tells her again. And then he tells her, my hand's been shaking and some other things. She's like, why didn't you tell me? Y'all know she's so good at faking. Why didn't you tell me? Your health is our ultimate priority. And Bill is like, I just didn't want to worry you. And he says some other things. And so finally, y'all, he tells her, being in a pressurized cabin, I mean, it could take hours for medical, if something were to happen. And so they agree to that. Well, let's go back over to Naomi and Jacob's, okay? Because right now, at this point, Kat left, right, to go be with Tomas at Bill's office. And Danny says she would walk her out. Danny keeps talking about her shades that she left on purpose over to Bill and them house, right? And so she sees Bill and Haley. She's now up at the country club. She sees them and she's like, basically, where are my shades? And Haley pulls them out of her purse and they're all cracked and scratched. And Haley, Danny's like, what the hell happened to my shades? And Haley says, they accidentally fell out of my hands. And I accidentally stepped on them. Y'all, Bill's sitting there. And so Danny throws the shades on the desk. What the hell? And Bill is like, I will reimburse you for your shades, girl. He didn't say it like that, y'all. Y'all know I be acting a fool on here. But anyway, Danny tells him, I don't need you to buy me a damn thing. Okay, but what you need to do, she tells Haley, what you need to never forget is the Hamilton girls ain't going nowhere. Now, I didn't recap those episodes, so let me tell y'all something. I definitely agree. And you know what? I am so, this is so two-faced of me to say what I'm about to say. Because I did not abide by this. None of us kids abided by this. But I will say, I definitely agree that anybody visiting Bill, okay, I don't care who it is, his daughters, his ex-wife, his mama, his daddy, right? And we know they're passed on, but I'm just saying that to say, before somebody comes over to people's homes, they do need to call or text ahead of time just to make sure that, the person is not, what we used to say, are you decent in there? Make sure the person's decent. Now, I will tell y'all that, again, in my family, all of us have keys to each other's homes because of emergencies, but those keys are only used for emergencies. And also when it came to, walking in your parents' house, none of us ever called it. We just walked. So, again, I say that I agree with Bill and them, but also I'm telling you, I have not lived by that, nor do I live by it necessarily. Now, I will tell you, if I am visiting someone, because I travel sometimes for work, I will call them ahead of time and say, oh, I'm going to be in such and such state, and in Chicago. We haven't seen each other since college or whatever. Are you going to be free? And I give some dates. So I don't just show up to people's homes I haven't seen in a long time. But family and friends, yes, We may just stroll up at any time. But we also understand that if we're in, we may not open the door, depending on if we decent or not, right? So y'all have to let us know in the comments, what are your family's rules for these things? I think, especially if you're married with children or married with steps or fosters, people do need to call again. I'm telling you this, but I do not live by this, okay? Only when it's, certain people. So anyway, but it's just really crazy, y'all. And when Danny walks off after she says the Hamilton girls are here to stay, Haley is like, you know what, girl, bye. And Bill is looking like, she told you. Yeah, Bill looking like, she got you told, girl. Y'all, I'm hoping that Bill will get a clue and ditch Haley before when, you know what, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Then I'll wrap this storyline up. I'm like, you know what? Come on, BTG. Y'all got to do better than this, especially for season 3. Well, y'all, Chelsea, remember I told you that Kat had texted Chelsea when she ran into Caroline in the hall? Well, Chelsea exits stage left from Jacob's, and she goes and she pretends she just walked into Uptown's on her own. So they're sitting at Uptown's at the bar, and she's like, Caroline, what are you doing here? Are you here meeting Haley? And so she goes about trying to get information from Caroline about, well, do you and Haley hang out? Have you ever seen her with anybody else? Because Caroline says, we're not as tight as we used to. We don't spend as much time as we used to. I guess Haley's busy with other things. And so Naomi's like, okay, other than her little job at the office and my dad, she ain't got no friends, so what is she doing? And Caroline's like, Chelsea, why are you asking me this? And Chelsea plays really concerned, and I love this. She says, well, with my dad's recent health scare, I'm just afraid that Haley won't be there when he really needs somebody. And y'all, Caroline, that throws Caroline off the scent, and she's like, you're right, I too have been worried about Bill, so we shall see. And she just tells her, listen, I would have really appreciated if you get any clue that Haley is preoccupied with other things other than my dad to let me know. And we shall see, y'all, if Caroline will actually do that. Well, Eva and Noah show up at Uptown's, not at the bar. And they sit in the booth, and they have just come back from their free clinic. Eva's still holding her side, y'all. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, because I know a lot of you all like this actor who's playing Noah. By the way, somebody said, I had said something about this I was about to say this boy, and I say that it's just a colloquial phrase, so it's not disrespect, it's just dialect, okay? But whatever it was I was saying, I think this person was trying to come to the actor's defense. Heck, it may have even been the actor himself. Sometimes they are in our comments, and they pretend to be somebody else. And that's cool, right? But it's like, when you try to defend the person you're playing, it's pretty obvious, right? And so anyway, so this person was like, oh, he's a young person. So this couldn't have been him, because I'm like, so I responded, this man is almost 40 years old. That is not a young person, okay? So, you may not like what I say about somebody on the show, and again, I'm just talking about my viewer experience, but your comment needs to make sense. This man, she was like, he's so young. He ain't, baby, 40 ain't young, okay? And this man been acting for years, okay? He's just not a good actor, in my opinion, okay? And so, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm looking at this boy today, and I'm like, who is this? Now, I say that, I know who he is. I've already researched him. I don't mean it like that. It's just a colloquial phrase. And y'all, I have to say that because we have some adults in the listening audience who will actually think I mean, who is he? And they will start typing a whole book about who the boy is. So I know some of you find these things I may have to say every now and again irritating, but if only you knew, honey. So I'm like, he is just so flat to me. You know what? Here's my thing. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. BTG, we got enough actors on this show that are struggling in their acting, okay? The last thing we need, if y'all are going to keep bringing on these new people, especially, and I say especially because as a black woman, I would prefer the newer actors to be black. Let's give some of these young black actors who are out here struggling a job, okay? I'm sorry. The truth of the matter is, and the stats are out there, white actors, male and female, they do not struggle in the industry the way black actors do. They don't have to fight for jobs the way black actors do. And so if you're going to bring these people on, and that's fine, I understand, they need to be able to act. The worst thing for me as a viewer is to be able to see somebody, okay, who is taking up space for somebody who needs a job, okay, and then they can't act on top of it. Now I'm doubly irritated, okay? I'm just speaking facts from my viewer vantage point. That may not be everyone's, and that is fine, okay? So anyway, he's sitting there looking as flat as a dime, okay? And she's telling him what a great job he did and da-da-da-da-da. And then in comes, y'all, over comes Leslie. Oh, so you agree that your mother was right? Let me hear you say it. Let me hear you say it. And so Leslie sits down and she begins to praise Noah and get on Eva's nerves. And Eva's like, everybody's treating me like, I'm some, basically glass girl. And Leslie brings Noah up to speed about this girl and had liver surgery. He did not know that. And it wasn't his business to know. And Eva low-key was trying to let Leslie know that, like, basically, mama, hush, okay? She's like, everybody is getting on my nerves. And over comes Isaiah. And he's like, oh, I guess that's me. And she's like, oh, no, no, no. So he sits down and they get to talking. Well, he says, you look tired in essence, and basically I need to take you home. And when they leave, they try to give Noah a bone. They say to him, well, we're sure you're tired too. Why don't you just go home? Well, no, your mother has sat down. The boss is here and she's offered, to buy drinks. And so they try again. And y'all, Noah do not pick up on nothing they putting down, right? So they leave and Eve was like, I tried to give the man a clue, right? And basically Isaiah's like, let him fend for himself, So y'all know what happens. Leslie sits there and fills Noah's head with all the stuff. She's a victim. Her mama died because of Anita Dupree. And he was like, I met Miss Anita. She seems so kind. Well, she ain't. And then everybody he brings up, she's got a negative story about them. And you know what, y'all? We know Leslie has no friends. Jan, I guess you could say it's a friend. We know that Mona is still keeping her on the outs, which I agree with that because we all know what Leslie did. But I will say that, I don't know what's wrong with Noah. It's like, Noah, okay, you are new in town, and the last thing you need is someone filling your head about telling you negative stories about every single person. And of course, Leslie is not being honest when she's telling him about these people. She's skewing everything to make herself look like the victim. But does Noah pick up on it? Absolutely not. Well, Eva and Isaiah do go home, and they try to kiss and whatnot, and he tries to touch her, and she's like, oh, and he's like, well, what, did I hurt you? And she's like, no. And he's like, you don't want me to see your scar? And he proceeds to tell her, because she's like, yes, the scar is ugly. I don't want you to see it. And he's like, basically, it's a part of your story. I love you. I love every scar. Let me show you. And he gets to kissing on the scar, child. I said this a week ago. I'm going to say it again. These two, I'm sorry. I need some drama. I need some drama. Listen, I love real love in real life. It is not dramatic. It is not dysfunctional. Okay? And yes, it should be linear. We've talked about this in season 1, where people get suspicious when things are going too well. Well, see, that's real life. This is a fictional show. It is a drama. That's how soaps are categorized. They're categorized as drama. Where is that, BTG? I'm like, you know. Again, I don't need drama like the Real Housewives. I don't need, you know, some type of Teresa Giudice flipping over a table like she did on the Housewives of Jersey. No, but these two need some conflict. That's what I mean. Where is the conflict? Okay, her having to have surgery and him be worried. That's more of a love. Yeah. Where's Yolanda who's pregnant? Where's Yolanda who say I want my man back? Okay, I thought about it and I want you back, babe. Where is the conflict here? Things are going just too smooth for these two, and it's been that way since Giddy Up. And and Eva deserves a love story after all she's been through. But again, drama. Ooh, Nicole got on my nerves today, y'all. What about y'all? First of all, I have to say I love that white suit. One of the things I'm loving that the wardrobe department is doing, I think I mentioned this a couple of months ago, but a lot of you know that sustainable fashion is a whole movement. It's a movement in itself. And I can't think of her name in the moment, but there's a black woman who started this movement. And y'all know how people co-opt our movements, right? And so you may be familiar with some of the white faces, but no, it was a black woman who started the sustainable fashion movement. And it's all about, you know, of course, protecting our environment and basically less waste in our clothing. And so I don't know if our wardrobe department is doing a sustainable, sustainable fashion thing, or if they're just keeping the budget on track. But I like to see them re-wearing some of the clothes. And Nicole has worn this before oh my gosh, what's her name? Y'all know I'm talking about, Miss Duplay. She's worn this outfit before for the character, and I think that's really good. Also, it makes the characters more relatable because even though they're rich people typically do rewear some of their clothes. And all of us who are not rich, we don't have an endless supply of clothing, right? We have to mix and match and make our outfits look a little bit new. So I appreciate that down-to-earth portion of our show. So Nicole is sitting in her office, and in comes Carlton. Hey, they do the greeting. Hi, they get to kissing and whatnot. And he has been teaching this course at Banneker, and that's had him away. And they haven't talked and seen each other in a while. And so he's like, why don't we go, I take you out to to the country club, and we go get something to drink or whatever to get caught up. And she's like, oh, I'm just so tired. I was about to head out and go home. And he's like, well, why don't I head out with you? And I'm like, I thought Nicole said she wanted to be honest about everything. How come she didn't tell Carlton, y'all, that old boy is living up in her house, okay? And that's why you can't come home with me, okay? Anyway, so she's like, oh no, it would just be so terrible if I just fell asleep on you and you had to listen to me snore. And he's like, oh, that would be beautiful. He's still trying to get himself in that house. And she's like, she coming up with excuses. No, I'm so tired. Why don't we do it? Have a rain check, and so that when we get together, you've got my full attention. And he's like, okay, fine. How come when he leaves out, child, Kyle comes in? Oh, I thought you were headed to Dallas, she says. Oh, he says, no, that trip was canceled. I just want to let you know. And they get to kissing and going on. And how come she tells him, I can't wait for you to be in the bed tonight. I can't wait to be wrapped up in your arms. It's my favorite way to wake up. At first, he had suggested that he would go to his condo. And she's like, oh, is Noah found a place to live? And he's like, no, but Noah needs to get a clue, okay, that he needs to be out looking. So I'm going to make him sleep on the couch tonight unless you want some company. Well, she says she wants company, again, wrapped up in your arm, my favorite way. And y'all, it's so obvious, just like Ted said, Kyle is her choice. Why don't they make this character make a choice? Because this storyline with her just sleeping with both of these guys, it has no point to it because they didn't make a point of it. I think I shared with you guys my viewer experience on this. Had they made this storyline, which would have been great, by the way, because a lot of divorced women go through this. Had they made this storyline about her where they were initially trying to go, which was she was discovering who she was, because it's a whole identity change when you get divorced. You're no longer Johnny's wife, right? You're no, you know, you got to find now who was I before Johnny? Okay, I went through that marriage with Johnny. Now who am I? And yes, it's a whole journey of rediscovering, and it's very exciting. It can be very daunting. And had they really heavily laid in on that storyline, it would have drawn so many women who are midlife, who are at the age of midlife, as this character in, because it's a real storyline. Just like I told y'all about Mona and Randy, which it seems that they're going that direction. It's a real storyline for a Christian woman to try to evangelize or evangel date a guy and he take him off the streets or out the club or whatever and try to make him a good guy and try to give him the conscience he may not have. Okay, so they seem to be going in that direction. But I'm going to tell y'all, they missed the boat with this Nicole storyline. This could have been really something. She could have, in the process of discovering herself, she could have realized that, you know what, I'm still the woman I was, you know, before I got married. And this has discovered, but they turned this into her just having sex with these men, and it was pointless. And I even tried to suggest that they okay, it's not too late. They could still make something of the storyline where she launches into, seeing as she is a doctor, not a physical doctor, but she's a doctor of the mind. Well, a lot of women who get divorced and they get back out there and they start having sex, they don't know about all of the STDs and how you need to protect yourself, because they have been able to have free sex without worrying about those things. Generally speaking, we know that's not everyone's situation in their marriage, but generally speaking. So there was just so many opportunities to really make something of this storyline, and they just missed the boat. It came down to her just sleeping with them and having fun and talking about it like she was a teenager, right? Instead of a fully grown woman who was rediscovering who she is, you know. And yes, discovering what you like sexually, I guess that could be a part of it. But when you've been married for as long as she was married to Ted, you already know what you like sexually, okay? You're not a teenager, right? And so she and Kyle agree that they're going to go to her house. Well, you know what happened, right, child? They walk out, hugging, kissing, standing in front of the elevator, hugging. She's leaning all on him, and guess who walks around the corner? They don't see him, but he sees them, and that's Carlton. Now, here's the deal, BTG writers. We've got to make this somewhat realistic. First of all, no man would ever be going for this, okay, period, okay? But since y'all wrote it that he's going to go for it, this is when he needs to take a stand. This is when he needs to cut her off, period. He needs to say, I'm worth more than this, because it's not, you know, a lot of times storylines, not just soap, but movies, they always focus on a woman's worth. As a woman, we know our worth, and so we're not going to take this and we're not going to take that. But men also need to know their worth. Where is Carlton realizing he's worth more than this? He's worth more than being put on the back burner while she fucks. Excuse me. While she is having sex with this other man. And now that he knows, she told him, I'm too tired to be bothered with you, basically. You go home. We'll hook up later. But now you see her about to go somewhere, he doesn't know, to her house yet, with this man. So what needs to happen is this, y'all. They can still turn this into something of substance. Let Carlton get in his vehicle and follow Nicole, and oh boy, let him see them going to her house. Let him knock on the door, and whoever her person is, let that person answer the door, and he say, I need to see Nicole now and now. And then she come out in a robe, and he say, okay, what's going on? And then Kyle come to the door and say, is there a problem? So that he can see. I thought you said you was too tired. Oh, he living up in here? And he needs to break it off. He needs to say, I'm done with you now, and then they need to bring in someone, maybe Monica could be, somebody that's on our show, somebody at the hospital. So there's a little bit of tension between he and Nicole, other than him just being jealous. Let him get somebody else who also works at the hospital. So again, we shall see, but please don't let Carlton do no begging. That's not what a straight man would do. He would say, F you. Well, again, he wouldn't even be involved in that type of situation. Okay, y'all. Well, when Naomi comes back home, Jacob is there, right? Because he had come in actually when Danny and Kat and Chelsea were there. And he was like, okay, I see y'all where my wife is, right? Well, after everybody leaves, Naomi is there. And she tells him what's going on, that they suspect that Haley is cheating on Bill and that she was trying to find evidence of it. And after talking, she's like, have you ever seen Haley with another man? And he's like, actually, I think we need to compare notes because he has seen her with Randy. So he agrees, he's on board. He's on board with trying to find out what's really going on with Haley. And of course, Naomi doesn't know this, and maybe he'll tell her from our vantage point, we'll see this tomorrow, that he and Tomas and Smitty were already thinking that Lynette and Haley were closer than they actually were. So we shall see where that goes. Okay, guys, that's the end of the recap. Okay, I told you I wanted to tell y'all something. One of the ways that you know that a show is becoming stale for you, and we all know this, so I'm not telling y'all nothing you don't know, is when you don't even try to get caught up on the episodes, girl. How come I haven't seen Friday's episode and I had all weekend to get caught up on it? How come I haven't even seen yesterday's episode, Monday's episode? And you know what? I can see a distinct change in my attitude as a viewer. And it's a direct result of some of these storylines going on and on and on since season 1. And I don't understand. I know we've talked about it. We've talked about this is how soaps are. And I came back and said, well, but this is a soap for 2026, okay? It's a different century even, okay? You can't write soaps the way you wrote them before. Everybody's, things have changed, and just like they incorporated technology, the technological changes, they need to write it differently. Well, we've gone back and forth, and I think we are never going to really agree on it, most of us. But I will say this. I told y'all I was struggling in season 1, and I wasn't sure I was going to even be on board for season 2 until they started the Anita Cancer storyline. And that's only because, I had people in my family die from cancer. And of course, you get caught up in the storyline. But now here we are. And, a lot of these storylines that don't have nothing to do with the cancer have been going on now since season 1. They need to do something, okay? Because for me, there were times when I let's say a day would go by and I'd miss an episode, and I couldn't wait to get on my laptop and get to Paramount Plus. Now I'm like, child, please, should I even get caught up? Should I even watch Friday and Monday? I mean, I'm going to, because, well, I blog about the show, but I'm going to watch it because, in essence, I have to, because, I need to know what's going on to be able to do good recaps. But just me as a viewer, it wouldn't bother me at all if I never watched Friday or Monday, and that's a bad place to be as a viewer. So again, I don't want no one to take my words out of context. I love BTG. I just feel like excluding our sweeps time, they really need to kick up the drama. And every storyline doesn't have to be drama. That would be too much. But there could be a little bit more drama with some of these storylines to make them a little bit more interesting. Or the elapsed time between a new layer being added, that needs to be condensed. I don't know. And I do appreciate that the writers do listen to us. I do. I appreciate it. But now that they've got new writers, okay, that are coming on for season 3, I really hope that they have, first of all, younger writers in the writer's room, some who are heterosexual, who can write some of this stuff for these men the way it needs to be, and women the way it needs to be, but also that they incorporate, a lot more, a lot more, that they kind of reduce the length of time for some of these storylines. And I understand, y'all, they've got to make 250 episodes, so some of these things need to be drug out. I get that. I do. I genuinely do. It's just that when they're drug out and it's like the same thing over and over and there's no new layer until I'm just at the end of my rope, that's the thing that I'm like, okay, I'll skip today's episode. It's probably just more of the same. And I feel like that's a dangerous place for a new soap. And I feel like I'm a small part of the viewership, but I'm also, I think a lot of people may be feeling what I feel. Whereas before they used to hate to miss an episode, now they like, whatever, child, I'll just pick up when... Anyway, y'all, let me let you go. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Leave us your thoughts below. Tell us all about your viewer experience, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.